The funny thing about looking for a remote job on YouTube is by the time you come across a job you like, it's been presented on dozens of other YouTube channels. But if you can find the right channel that gives you the jobs before everyone else repeats them, you're ahead of the curve, and that's what we strive to do here. So if you can lend me your ears for a few minutes, I'll scan through several remote jobs available today, including a non-phone part-time night shift opportunity, a job processing medical records, and many more entry and slightly upper entry-level remote jobs. Let's scan through them. So let's start off with the non-phone part-time night shift opportunity. It comes to us from Transamerica. This one is for an intermediate accounting specialist. It's part-time. You'll work from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. It is remote anywhere within the United States. And yep, you'll work 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time Zone hours with the expectation of flexibility to remain until work is completed. So you need to be ready to work a little bit beyond 9 p.m. if necessary, and you don't have to live in the Central Time Zone. Just translate your local hours to those hours. And you probably notice the pay. Right here they tell us they'll pay you anywhere from $18.50 up to $24.50 per hour. So this is a very entry-level accounting position where you'll perform nightly fund pricing and valuation activities, research and resolve variances. You'll create, modify, and maintain spreadsheets and identify where information is located and compile backup or research information for analysis by others. You'll do a whole lot of information data entry and resolve some non-routine problems and questions, understanding when to bring issues to a higher authority. They'd like you to have an associate's degree or equivalent work experience, and when it comes to that experience, they tell us they'd like you to have at least 1 to 3 years experience as well as knowledge of accounting principles. So now we have several very entry-level remote jobs. The first one I have comes to us from Sparrow Health. This is for a leave specialist. It's full-time remote anywhere within the United States. I did not see any location restrictions. And in this job, you'll be the primary contact for employees of companies this company serves, managing leave of absence from start to finish. You also play a critical role in supporting your peers and Sparrow team members. So yeah, this job is in the HR division, but they're really not requiring a whole lot of related experience in this position. You need to be organized and detail-oriented. You have outstanding communication skills. You're a people person. They tell us they want you to have more than 2 years client-facing experience where relationship building is valued. You're also highly self-directed, you're proactive, you're systems-oriented, trustworthy, relentlessly optimistic, and empathetic. And as far as the salary, they tell us they'll pay you between $22.25 and $27.50 per hour. We have an accounts payable associate position with the company Included Health. This job is full-time remote anywhere within the United States, no location restrictions. And this is your typical accounts payable position where you'll be responsible for the full cycle processing of invoices, ensuring all vendors are paid accurately and on time. You do some invoice management, data entry and coding, payment cycles, vendor relations, compliance and audit, expense report processing, as well as managing discounts and fees. They'd like you to have 1 to 3 years experience in accounting or accounts payable roles. You're proficient using Excel, specifically pivot tables and VLOOKUPs, and you have experience with accounting software. You have a high school diploma, and they prefer you have an associate's or bachelor's degree in accounting, finance, or business, and that's just preferred. It's not required, and you're able to spot minute discrepancies in high volumes of data. And they list some preferred skills. They're just preferred. They're not required. If you meet any of them, make sure to include them on your resume. And as far as the salary, it depends on where you live, but it looks like you can earn anywhere from $49,800 up to $84,305 per year, plus equity and benefits. Abnormal is a cybersecurity company that's been around since 2018. They have an opening for a renewal specialist. So in this job, you'll ensure smooth, timely contract renewals that drive customer satisfaction, retention, and revenue growth. You'll identify opportunities to negotiate and close while aligning outcomes with customer needs and Abnormal's goals. So basically, you're going to make it easy for customers to renew their contract with this company. They want you to have 1 to 2 years experience in renewals, customer success, sales support, or related SaaS role. You have an understanding of customer relationship management and SaaS sales processes. You also have basic negotiation, upsell, and objection handling skills with a growth mindset. You're proficient in CRM systems. You're also aware of customer lifecycle stages, and they'd like you to be familiar with Abnormal's products and services with the ability to support forecasting and reporting. And as far as the salary, they tell us they'll pay you between $65,450 and $77,000 per year. There's an IT support position open with the company Silna. This job is full-time remote anywhere within the United States. I did not see any location restrictions. And in this position, you'll be the first-line technical support for internal teams, resolving issues directly wherever possible and escalating as necessary. So that pretty much sums up what you're going to do. You're going to do a lot of monitoring, responding, and troubleshooting in this position. You work 40 hours per week, Monday through Friday during business hours. And they'd like you to have about 1 year relevant experience in IT support, technical operations, or help desk roles. You're strongly familiar with user account management, SaaS tools, security tools, and you have troubleshooting expertise across hardware and software. And going back up a little bit, they tell us they'll pay you between $26 and $28 per hour. Here's a really good medical records position. It comes to us from Spring Health. This job is for a medical records coordinator. Now it is full-time and remote, but it is a temporary position. As we scroll down a little bit, they tell us you may have the opportunity to extend or become permanent full-time based on performance and or business needs. Now they do want you to be flexible to support occasional shift changes, and they want you to be available to work 1 weekend per month and at least 4 holidays per year. Now when it comes to your schedule, they tell us they have 4 shifts from which to choose. You can work 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., or noon to 8 p.m. And all of those hours are Eastern Time Zone hours, but you don't have to live in the Eastern Time Zone. Just translate your local hours to those hours. So in this job, you'll focus on processing medical records, including but not limited to sending out patient authorization forms, retrieving medical files, and facilitating form completion for members and providers. You'll be responsible for maintaining a basic understanding of HIPAA regulations surrounding member privacy and records release requests, and this position will contribute to the company's success by providing non-clinical administrative support to members and providers. So you'll gather and process medical records. They want you to have at least 1 year experience in a similar role, you have advanced understanding of medical terminology and HIPAA, and you have experience with Adobe Acrobat, Google Sheets, Google Docs, and Microsoft Office. And they tell us they'll pay you between $25.13 and $29.49 per hour. So now let's get into the mid-entry level remote jobs, meaning these positions require just a little bit more experience, maybe around 2 years related experience. Soleo Health has an opening for a clearance specialist intake coordinator. This job is full-time remote. You can do it anywhere within the United States. They have a location of Texas, but they tell us right here this job is remote anywhere in the U.S. And you'll work from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I have a feeling that's incorrect because as we scroll down a little bit here, they tell us you'll work 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time with a 1-hour lunch, or 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time with a half-hour lunch. So I have a feeling this is Central Time Zone hours, not Eastern Time Zone hours, because they are based out of Texas. And they want you to be able to work weekend on-call once every 3 weeks. And you must have experience with acute infusion for prior authorization and benefits verification. So what you're going to do in this position is process new referrals, including but not limited to verifying patient eligibility, test claim adjudication, and identifying patient estimated out-of-pocket costs. You'll also be responsible for preparation, submission, and follow-up of payer authorization requests. You need a high school diploma or equivalent and at least 2 years home infusion specialty pharmacy and or medical intake reimbursement experience. And they tell us that's preferred, it's not required, but again, you must have experience with acute infusion for prior authorization and benefits verification. You have a working knowledge of Medicare, Medicaid, and managed care reimbursement guidelines, and you're able to multitask and support numerous referrals and priorities while ensuring productivity expectations and quality are met. And as far as the salary at the bottom of the job description, they tell us they'll pay you between $23 and $27 per hour. Another remote job with the company Abnormal. This is for a recruiting coordinator. It's full-time remote, but it is a contract position, so you more than likely will not get benefits and they will not do your tax withholding. So this is your typical recruiting coordinator position where you'll schedule, coordinate, and confirm interview requests and solve scheduling conflicts and help expedite the interview process when faced with roadblocks. They'd like you to have about 2 years experience in recruiting coordination or a similar role in a fast-paced environment, preferably in tech and or SaaS. You have experience managing a high volume of scheduling requests. You also have impeccable verbal and written communication skills, and you're proficient with an ATS. They prefer that it's Greenhouse. Now, they're not sharing the salary anywhere on this job description, but based on my experience looking at similar roles, I have a feeling this job could pay anywhere from $55,000 to $65,000 per year, but I can't guarantee that. That's based on my experience looking at similar roles. You'll have to work out your salary with them. Here's a social media and community manager position with the company Dream Health. So this job is full-time remote. However, they do want you to be able to work Eastern or Central time zone hours. They're not saying you have to live in those time zones. You just have to be available to work those hours. That's how I interpret this job description. So this is a high-energy, highly creative role with high degree of ownership, reporting directly to the Director of Brand and Communications. So your main purpose of this job is to do some content creation and community building. They want you to have a bachelor's degree in marketing, communications design, or a related field, and 2 to 4 years experience in social media, content creation, or community management, ideally in a fast-growing and mission-driven company. You have experience creating short-form video content and platform-native assets, and you're comfortable using modern tools and AI. And on this job description, they tell us they'll pay you between $65,000 and $75,000 per year. So we have a couple upper entry-level remote jobs, and the first one of those is with the company Spring Health. It's for a benefits and leave specialist. It's full-time remote anywhere within the United States, no location restriction. And in this job, you'll spend your time supporting the administration, execution, compliance, and delivery of Spring Health's employee benefits, leave of absence programs, and accommodation requests. You'll play a critical role in ensuring the company's benefits and leave programs are compliant, efficient, and employee-centered. And this is important. Occasional travel may be required for team or company events. So if you have some experience in benefits, leave, and HR, this might be a really good opportunity for you. They tell us they want you to have 3 to 8 years in benefits administration or related HR operations, as well as prior experience administering reasonable accommodations. You have a strong understanding of U.S. benefit plans, HR policies, and programs with some knowledge of employment law and workplace compliance standards. And you have experience in HRIS platforms and Google Workspace. And they tell us on this job description they'll pay you anywhere from $37.40 up to $43.60 per hour. Another upper entry-level remote job I have is with Sparrow. So this one is for an executive assistant to the CEO. They tell us this job is full-time remote, but I have a feeling this job is specific to those of you who live in the Bay Area of California, because you will have to travel about 25% of the time to go to the CEO's location in the Bay Area, because about 90% of your time you'll do executive assistant work, and then the other 10% of the time you'll do personal assistant work, supporting both professional and limited personal logistics so the CEO can operate at their highest level. So yeah, you'll partner closely with the CEO on priorities and execution, own inbox, calendar, and communication management, drive follow-through and execute visibility while operating with a high ownership mindset. You'll also build and improve systems and processes and provide light personal assistance. They have more details about this position, so if you're interested, just read through the details. They want you to have about 5 years experience supporting senior executives, ideally CEOs or founders in high-growth environments. You have exceptional written communication skills, as well as strong judgment and prioritization instincts. And as we scroll down this job description, we can see right here they tell us they'll pay between $80,000 and $140,000 per year, and that depends on experience and your location. So that's all I have for you in this video. We went from part-time night shift opportunities to processing medical records to very entry-level work-from-home jobs to more advanced administrative positions. Hopefully one of these opportunities works out for you, and if you're looking for more, you can find some in this video right here. So have a great day, take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.